Hello everybody, and welcome to Snowdon. I'm not really on Snowdon, to be honest. That up there is Snowdon. I was on there before, but it's covered in cloud now, and clearly I'm not on it. I'll show you my day in a minute, but I want to start this video with a very quick thank you to the sponsor of this video, Valorette. Am I going to focus? Yes. So if, like me, you experience freezing cold hands in the winter, then you might like to wear gloves to do your photography, which poses traditionally a couple of problems. Either when you're taking photos, you keep your gloves on and you risk pressing the wrong button, so you might mean to take a photo and actually end up changing the white balance, or you might end up deleting other photos, which I have done before. Or if you don't want to risk that, then you'll just very simply take your gloves off, like so, find a safe place for them, take your photo, but after 30 seconds, you can't feel your fingers anymore, and even when you put your gloves back on, your hands are just cold for the rest of the day. Well, the good folks at Valorette have thought about this, and I'll show you how. Whoa. You can take your thumb and your index finger out, so that you can get to buttons without pressing the wrong ones. They've even got little magnets, so that when you take your finger out, that sticks together and it doesn't get in the way. Genius! So yes, these got sent to me a couple of months ago and I absolutely love them. They've also got a zip, these ones, to put an SD card in or something. Very nice. Lots of grip on the palms as well. Anyway, if you like to wear gloves in winter but don't want the dexterity of a sheep when you're taking your photos, then do check Valorette out. I'll put a link in the description, and they've got a range of gloves covering you from mild winters all the way through to Arctic conditions. So wherever you live, if you have a winter and you get cold hands typically and you like to take photos, these might be the answer. Pop them back in because it is a bit cold now. Anyway, today's video, I'll take you back to this morning when my legs hurt considerably less than they do now. Right. Beautiful. I love days like this. No wind, sweeping clouds over the summits and even in the valleys. Just perfect. Little pockets of light everywhere. I love it. Makes for fantastic photos and just nice days to be in the great outdoors. I'm shooting with one of my new lenses, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, but I'm going to crack on because I'm only about half an hour into my walk and I've got quite a bit to do before sunset if I want to get to where I want to get to for blue hour. So yeah. Oh, there's a van. Missed it. So this is Pen y Pass down here. There's a hostel just where that cloud starts. So I don't think you can really see it, but it's an amazing view from this part of the valley, particularly when it's filled with moody cloud. And then if you come over this side, you can see over towards Snowdon. That's the aim of the game today. Oh, and it's still nice and moody over here as well. Love it. So there are a couple of routes that you can do from Pen y Pass up to Snowdon. I'll say a couple, three. There's quite a few routes, to be honest. I'm going to do the pig track. I could do Crib Goch, which is up there. If you've not heard of Crib Goch, then do Google it, because it's really, really scary. It's an arête that is basically like a triangle, and it's a sheer drop, both sides. And I have done it before, but I'm a bit scared of heights. It's November, so I'm telling myself there might be ice up there. There's probably not, but it gets me off the hook. And also, yesterday I went up Triffan's North Ridge, and my legs are a bit sore, to be honest. In fact, a couple of times coming up the stairway from Pen y Pass, I had a couple of missteps because they're a bit shaky. So the last place you want to be with shaky legs is up there. So not today, even though it is fantastic for photography, particularly when there's pockets of low-lying cloud. But never mind, I'm happy to miss a photo if it means I don't kill myself. Yes, I did start a video yesterday up Triffan, but well, I got a bit lost, and then it got a little bit late, and I got a bit concerned that I was going to miss sunset, and well, not miss photos. That was my original concern, but my later and much more scary concern was that I'd be stuck up the mountain, because it's quite difficult to spot the path coming down. I mean, I found it difficult to spot the path going up, so yeah, I could have been stuck on the mountain. So I stopped recording after getting a bit panicked and hurried down. So yeah, there's no video of that trip yesterday. I just have sore legs to remember it by. Going all right up here though. Oh, the mood's clearing. Hope it comes back. I'm just trying to find somewhere good to sit so I can tell you about my evolving setup for the S5. Here's good. You get a view of the mountains. I'm ruining the view again, aren't I? I do that quite a lot on this channel, but I'll be quick in telling you about my new lenses for the S5. So first up, my 70-200 f4. The reason I've gone with the f4 as opposed to the f2.8 is that I don't need 2.8 at these kind of focal lengths. You know, if I want to shoot in the dark, then I'll just use a tripod, because largely I'm not shooting anything that's moving. And even though I hate using tripods, it's better that I have a lighter, smaller lens for the vast majority of the time, that I don't need to use a tripod because I'm not using these focal lengths in low light. That's my thinking for going with the f4 as opposed to the f2.8. So this is the first of 4 lenses eventually that will make up my S5 lens system. This rock is the most uncomfortable rock I've ever chosen to sit on. It's rubbish. This 16-35 is the second and, to be honest, the primary lens of this setup. Now, I had a 16-35 equivalent in my Micro Four Thirds gear. I guess it was an 8-18, so it was a 16-36 actually for the nitpickers. And I said had, I didn't mean to say had. I'm going to still be using my Micro Four Thirds gear a lot. But that lens in my Micro Four Thirds setup was not in any way a primary lens. But this will be a primary lens, because for a long time I've really wanted to become better as a wide angle photographer. I mean, I've taken lots of photos at wide angles that I'm proud of, but I'd like to get much better at taking more of them. And therefore I'm hoping that by forcing myself to use this lots, I'll improve my wide angle photography. I guess we'll see in time whether that works. Now, obviously that leaves a gap between 35 and 70 mil. And historically, that's been quite an important range for me. That's where I've got lots of photos that lots of photos that have made up my portfolio, basically. So I don't want to skip it entirely. So what I'm going to do eventually is fill it with the 50mm 1.8 from Lumix, which isn't out yet. But if it follows anything like the 85 1.8, that I tested a couple of weeks back, it'll be nice and light, really small, and it'll do a great job slipping in that gap. And also, obviously, it'll be great for low light stuff. But because that's not out yet, for the time being, I'm using the kit lens that came with the camera, the 20-60, great little lens. I'm using this as the stopgap between 35 and 70. So yeah, the 51.8 will be the third lens that I'll always carry with me because it stops that gap, and it'll be great for low light, as I said. And then the fourth lens will be a 24mm 1.8, which again hasn't come out yet, but it's from the same line of lenses as the 50 and that 85 I tested. That will just pretty much be used for low light, and obviously wider angle stuff than 50. Even this is uncomfortable. Now you might be thinking, James, why don't you just wait to see if Lumix brings out a 16-35 f2.8, because then you could just use that in low light. And it's a good point, but the benefit of having an f4 lens, this f4 lens, is that it's really small and light. And obviously it's not a small and light when you also have to carry a 24mm 1.8. But the beauty of what I'm thinking is that I will know when I'm going to be shooting in low light conditions. And therefore, when I know I'm not going to be shooting in low light conditions, I don't need to bring it, and therefore I have a lighter setup. I have a more tailored setup to the things that I'm going to be shooting that day. So that's my thinking, basically, is I'm going to have 2 primes and the 2 zooms that I've got at the moment, and that will formulate my kit for the S5 and other S-series cameras in future years to come, if I like what they have to offer. All right, I best get on with it. Old man noises. If you look closely, you might be able to see the silhouette of some of the climbers on Crib Goch. Not for me today. It keeps going in and out of the clouds, so I don't fancy that. Right, first chance to use the 16-35 today. Probably not, but it's the first chance I've seen. Not terrible, but it'll be better at the top. Well, the view's gone, as you might be able to see. Generally a good sign that you're going in the right direction when you're going up a mountain, as well as your lungs burning. Not far to go. Right, well I made it to the summit, but plan A has been scuppered. So the plan was that, have that removed, the plan was that I brought enough layers to spend an hour or so at the top of the summit, and I was going to stay there for sort of the first half of golden hour, try and get a load of shots up there, but I think the cloud is just too unpredictable, and there's a lot more of it up here than I expected or that was forecast, which means I could wait there and not get anything because there's just banks of cloud rolling in at the exact wrong time. So what I think I'm going to do is head down below the cloud line so that even if there is cloud around in the places I don't want it, I've got more options to take photos than just basically sat in a cloud for the whole sunset. So that's what I'm going to do. I did get one good photo while I was up there. It's just sort of a mountain top shrouded in cloud. Looked lovely. I forget the name of the mountain, but it was with a telephoto, as you might have expected. Hopefully before the day's out I'll get at least one good photo with the 16-35 and begin my quest to become an accomplished wide-angle photographer. I don't know if wide-angle photographer is really a thing, but I've built it up to be in my head. Also, if you've not been up Snowdon before, one of the funny things about it, there's a train that goes all the way to the summit, and then there's a cafe, a really nice cafe at the top, which does make it feel a little bit less of an achievement when you've slogged to get up to the top and it feels quite barren, and I mean you're in cloud, and yeah, there's just a train waiting there with loads and loads of people getting coffee. Not open at the moment though for obvious reasons. Well, for the minute it looks like I made the right decision because the summit hasn't come out the clouds for the, well, 20 minutes it's taken me to get from there to here. So, although there is blue sky behind it, so who knows. Anyway, I'm continuing down the Pig, back to where I came from, but when it meets the Miners track, I'm going to take that because that lake down there, in fact both lakes, I think will make a good opportunity to use the wide angle, particularly if the stillness of them isn't an illusion from here. There's not really much wind, so hopefully there will be some decent reflections. But regardless, I think I stand more chance of a photo from down there than up there. Well, the good news is that the summit still looks shrouded in clouds. So I think I made the right decision. The bad news, as you can see, is that there's no reflection. Look completely still from up there. Nah. Still, I'll try and get a photo. Might not be particularly good because I still don't have any polarizers for these new lenses. So I can't believe that. I thought it was going to be completely flat. There's no wind at all. Ah. I don't know. There's no light. Doesn't look like there's going to be a sunset, but the summit has come out, so I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing now, given that I left it because I didn't think there was going to be any view. I don't know if you can see, there's a hang glider just over that hill. That looks so much fun around here. Given that, as I said, I'm not the best with heights, that might not be for me, but I bet the views are unbelievable. Anyway, the low cloud has gone. It's all gone. It's been replaced with complete blanket high cloud. So I thought I was going to be able to get a wide angle shot up here, and I had grand visions of the sky being purple and there'd been some low cloud on some of the mountains, but that ain't going to happen. One last go. Anyway, a big thank you for watching, and a big thanks also to Valorette for sponsoring this week's video. If you're after photography specific gloves, do check them out because I'd really recommend them. They're awesome. And ooh, there's still some low cloud around here. Will I get there before last light? Come on, put the afterburners on. Okay, one more. I genuinely think chocolate is a painkiller. Still got my head torch on. Just a theory though.